Now it's my honor to introduce Brother Shankara. Brother Shankara is the current spiritual director and resident minister of the Vedanta Center of Atlanta. Swami Prabhavanand accepted Gary Camper as a disciple in 1973 and gave him the name Shankara in 1975. Swami Swananda initiated Brother Shankara in 1977. For the next 33 years, Brother Shankara continued his life as a householder and served as the Swami and the Vedanta Society of Southern California in various capacities, including Secretary of the Board of Trustees. He received Brahmacharya vows after his life of 48 years died in November 2009. In June 2010, Swami Swananda appointed Brother Shankara as resident minister of the Vedanta Center of Atlanta. He began serving here in August. Previously, under Swami Swananda's direction, Brother Shankara assisted in founding the Vedanta Center of Greater Washington, Vivekananda Retreat regularly, and Ramakrishna Vedanta ashrams in different places. He also helped establish several non-profit religious organizations, including American Service to India and the Ramakrishna Foundation. Over to you, Brother Shankara.
Thank you so very much. This is such an honor to participate in such an elevated discussion of Swami Vivekananda's role. In thinking about this, I decided to take the tack that not everyone would know about Swami Vivekananda's development of his role. And so before I start my prepared remarks, let me just say that Swami Vivekananda has been my hero since 1975, when I read the collection of talks published as Jnana Yoga. At that time, I implored Vivekananda to make me a part of what he was doing. Make me a part of this, I said. That prayer was graciously answered, and I suspect that that's why I am sitting here talking with you this afternoon. So about Swamiji and his role as he developed it here in the West. After his great success at the Parliament of Religions in September of 1893, Swami Vivekananda, most of the time I'll now call him Swamiji, Swamiji toured many parts of the US. His popularity offered the opportunity to speak on life and religion to what were often large, enthusiastic crowds. Major newspapers across the country loved to run stories on Swamiji. They had plenty to write about. His relentless schedule of talks, classes, and informal gatherings with society's elite earned Swamiji the title, that cyclonic monk from India. That cyclonic monk from India. For example, the New York Critique wrote, he is an orator by divine right, and his strong, intelligent face in its picturesque setting of yellow and orange was hardly less interesting than those earnest words and the rhythmical utterance he gave them. This is just one of many, many stories run along that line. By early 1895, weary after nearly 2 years of touring and speaking, Swamiji was grateful to find refuge at Thousand Island Park in upstate New York. He was invited there in the summer of 1895 by Mary Dutcher, an artist who had attended his spiritual classes in New York City. The park was a place that encouraged the exchange of ideas. Residents had created a setting that was friendly to contemplation and meditation. It had already attracted such speakers as Susan B. Anthony and Frederick Douglass. Yet Swamiji's experience of the park became significant in a very different way. Early in his stay there, for the second time in his life, he entered Nirvikalpa Samadhi, the state of full God realization, Brahmagyana. The first time was in India in 1886. At Kashipur, near Kolkata, a team of Sri Ramakrishna's disciples was providing round-the-clock care for the master during his last illness. Swamiji was their leader. Many years later, in 1898, Swamiji told this story to Swami Saradananda, his brother disciple. One day, in the Kashipur garden, I had expressed my prayer to Sri Ramakrishna with great earnestness. Then in the evening, at the hour of meditation, I lost consciousness of the body and felt that it was absolutely non-existence. I had nearly merged in the Supreme, but I had just a trace of the feeling of ego, so I could again return to the world of relativity from the Samadhi. After that experience, when after trying repeatedly, I failed to bring it back. I failed to bring back the state of Samadhi. On informing Sri Ramakrishna about it, he said, and this is a quote from the Master, "If you remain day and night in that state, the work of the Divine Mother will not be accomplished. Therefore, you won't be able to induce that state again. When your work is finished, it will come again." The Master said that when it did come, Swamiji could then leave the world at will. I'll repeat that. The Master said that when it did come, that second Samadhi, Swamiji could leave the world at will. But as we know, Swamiji did not go. He finished his retreat at Thousand Island Park, then stayed with us for another 7 years until July 4th, 1902. Most of those last 7 years were spent continuing his work here in the West. We get a glimpse of why Swamiji stayed on February 2nd, 1896. As a guest of the Brooklyn Ethical Association, Swamiji gave his lecture, The Atman. Toward the end of this talk, Swamiji paraphrases the Upanishads, saying, "He who in this world of many sees that one, he who in this mass of insentiency sees that one sentient being, he who in this world of shadows catches that reality, unto him belongs eternal peace, none else, unto none else, unto none else." Then during the question and answer period, a reporter remarked that Hinduism was not thought of as a proselytizing religion. Swamiji gave it a moment's thought and then replied, "I have a message to the West, as Buddha had a message to the East. And as we know, that message makes up most of the 9 volumes published as Swami Vivekananda's complete works." Swami Yogeshananda, the founder of this Atlanta Center, wrote, "Swamiji fell in love with America. He said it was where his heart was, and he loved the Yankee land, as he called it. He said he liked to see new things, not the old ruins of Europe. He felt that America was the place, the people, and there was the place of opportunity for everything. He may have upset some people in London when he said, "The American civilization is, in my opinion, a very great one. I find the American mind peculiarly susceptible to new ideas. Nothing is rejected because it is new. It is examined on its own merits." He told people in Calcutta, Kolkata now, America is where, more than anywhere else, the feeling of brotherhood has been developed. An American meets you for 5 minutes on board a train, and you are his friend. And the next moment, he invites you to be a guest at his house and opens his whole home to you. He said of American women, "Their kindness to me would take years to tell. They are the life and soul of this country," he said. "I could never repay my debt of gratitude to them." Yet, as we can see from this incident, Swamiji intended to do so. In 1900, he told an American devotee in San Francisco, "See, I have to be born, I have to take birth again." He told an American devotee in San Francisco, "See, I have to take birth again." "Why, Swamiji?" asked the devotee. "Because," he replied, "I have fallen in love with human beings." Because I have fallen in love with human beings. Swamiji's immense contributions to the intellectual and spiritual thought currents of this nation have not gone unnoticed. For example, during the celebration of America's bicentennial in 1976, Swami Vivekananda was honored by the Smithsonian Institution in Washington, D.C. They published a book titled Abroad in America, which recognized him as one of the visitors from abroad during the nation's first 200 years who made a significant impact on our spiritual development. And then, of course, in 2013, during the celebration of the 150th anniversary of Swami Vivekananda's birth, both the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal, two of the most prestigious and influential newspapers in the United States, published 2-page spreads, 2 pages, 2 full pages of the newspaper, identifying Swami Vivekananda as the one who brought a great intellectual and spiritual thought current into America and vivified our sense of ourselves and of the possibilities. And just one other incident. When he was in Pasadena in 1899 and 1899 and 1900, he encountered the Throop family, Throop, Throop family. They had something called the Throop Scientific Institute. Swamiji extravagantly encouraged them and said, "You must go forward with this." And as a, you could say, direct or indirect result of Swamiji's influence on the Throop family, that family helped found the California Institute of Technology. Some of you may know that that is where the great quantum physicist, Dr. Richard Feynman, taught and spent the really productive years of his professorial life. So with that, I'll close saying that Swamiji remains a hero to many, many of us and well deserves all of our heartfelt devotion and intellectual appreciation. Oma Satoma Satkamaya, Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityorma Amrutangamaya, Abir Moiti. O dearly beloved, lead us from this realm of relentless noise and delusion to thine abode of serenity, silence. Lead us from darkness and ignorance to the brilliance of their wisdom and love. Lead us from death through and through. Light us through and through with thy everlasting shining presence. Om Hari Om Tat Sat.
Thanks a lot, Brother Shankara, for such a wonderful speech. Now I would like to invite Mr. Ritesh Verma, IT head in American Academy of Yoga and Meditation, to give the vote of thanks on behalf of the organizing team. Riteshji, you are on mute. Kindly unmute yourself.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. It's a very good morning to all Indians, and good morning to all Americans, and good evening to all Indian families and all. It's given me immense pleasure to vote of thanks for this event to all dignitaries assembled here. I would like to thank our eminent speaker, Swami Atmipenanda ji and Brother Shankaracharya ji for this inaugural inspirational thoughts which we have provided during this long. Even though this session was planned for 1.5 hours, but it went more than 2 hours almost. So I'd like to thank once again to our beloved chairman, Dr. Indranil Basuji, and AI members, and last not the least, which all that audience which we are for the last 2.5 hours we are watching. Once again, thanks to everyone.
I would like to thank all our speakers for this informative webinar today. We hope to see you again. As for our viewers, if you haven't watched our complete webinar, you don't need to worry. We have got it for you. Watch it on our Facebook or YouTube channels. Thank you for joining us. Please feel free to write to us on the email or contact number provided on the screen. To know more about our webinars and activities, log on to our website www.aaymonline.org. Keep watching us. Thank you. Namaskar.
That was great, Cindy. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Wow.
It was very nice. Very nice.
There's Brother Shankara.
Yeah.
You're on mute. There you
Is
go.
that better?
Yes.
All right. Well, I never expected it to go quite that long. But both the Swami and Dr. Basu Ray had a lot to say. And of course, it was well worth listening to. Howsoever, I don't think there's any need to go on more today. Those of you who wished to listen heard what was said by not only me but the others, and so on next Sunday we will have the puja for celebrating Swami Vivekananda's birth anniversary. It's the lunar calendar birthday. His solar calendar birthday was January 12th. And then on the 30th of January, I will deliver the talk that was promised for today, which is Modern Masters of Advaita Vedanta. And as you heard, there was quite a discussion, both by the Swami and by Dr. Basure, about quantum physics. Well, we'll have in this talk on Modern Masters of Advaita, there will be a surprise guest from that field as part of that talk. So thank you all for staying so long for this. Are there any comments or questions from anyone about, and by the way, on February the 8th, I believe it's the 8th, we will celebrate the birth anniversary of Swami Brahmananda with a puja also. Both of those pujas will be done by Aditya Chaturvedi. Anything from anyone?
Shankara?
Yes, dear.
Who was the other Swami that spoke? Because I don't think I heard him at all.
Well, you'd had to have joined at the beginning to hear him. He was Swami Atma Priyananda, the head of the, I forget just what it's called. It's a Vivekananda College, I believe it's called, Vivekananda University. It's part of Bellarmont. Okay. And he's the one who founded that university and is now successfully leading it forward. And he delivered a very interesting and fine talk. You can go back and listen to it if you wish. It was recorded by the Academy, of course, the Academy of Yoga and Meditation, and you can find it on their YouTube channel.
Or just go to the not Facebook, but the YouTube link that's in the newsletter.
Oh, okay.
The bulletin.
Oh,
The
okay.
bulletin we sent out yesterday has both the Facebook, if you want to go to the Facebook archive, just click the Facebook one, or the YouTube one for the YouTube archive. And
well, there you are. Thank you,
Oh,
Cindy.
great. Thank you.
Anything else from anyone?
I listened from the beginning, Brother Shankara, since 7:30 my time in the morning. It was wonderful. And thank you so much for giving the history of Swami Vivekananda. It was just enlightening.
Yes, well, a lot of people don't know very much about Swamiji's history here in the United States. So I thought I would review that for us.
Thank you so much. It was wonderful. Lectures all throughout since 7:30 in the morning for my time.
Dr. Basu Ray, what an enthusiastic character.
Very much.
I have recommended to him in a phone conversation with him, I recommended Pim van Lammel's book on consciousness after death. And you can see that he's interested in that. And he immediately seized on that and said, send me the link to where I can buy it. And I want to read it. I'm sure he will.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Anything else from anyone? All right, dears. Let there be peace in outer space. Let there be peace in the sky, on the earth, and in the waters. Let there be peace in the herbs, the plants, and the trees. May the gods be peaceful. May the whole universe be pervaded by peace. Let that infinite universal peace prevail throughout my being. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Peace, peace. Peace be unto us and to all beloved beings everywhere. Jai Shri Guru Maharaj Ji Ki Jai. Durga Durga Durga. May you be safe. May you be healthy. May you be cheerful. May you have peace of mind. And may we go forward in the loving and protective embrace of the Divine Being as our Mother and Father. So until next we meet, how delightful to be with you. This was an unusual morning indeed. Just so you'll know, I don't know, Cindy may have told you already, but they contacted me about this on Thursday. After they were talking to Swami Atmapriyananda, he's in Bellarmont. He said, well, don't you have a center there in Atlanta? Shouldn't the resident minister there be involved? So it was Thursday when they contacted me about this. And I will just say, as Mark Twain remarked, if you want me to speak for an hour, I'm ready now. If you want me to speak for 10 minutes, I'll need a month. Well, I had since Thursday. So that's why things didn't go quite as we expected this morning. Certainly the webinar ran much longer. They had intended it to be finished by 11 o'clock our time.
You should have known better than that.
Well, I actually kind of did, which is why I kind of asked you to do what you did. And I hope that those of you who joined in did get a great deal out of it. Certainly Dr. Basu Ray had a lot of interesting things to say about modern medicine and the relationship of consciousness and our projection of the world, our projection of our universe, which he insists, and I'm sure he's right, that it must be a function of quantum mechanics. There simply is not enough to explain it otherwise. And of course, Swami Atmapriyananda's presentation was, as you might expect from the head of a university, it was very scholarly, but very well presented and very well illustrated. He had slides to put up that had wonderful quotes from Swamiji, from the Upanishads, from other sources. And his answering of the questions put to him was well worth your time too. So there we are, dears. Any final thought or comment or question from anyone? So just to review, Monday, we have our reading and discussion group of love poems from God, where we're discussing Tukaram's work. Fascinating poet and illumined soul. Tuesday, we're continuing our study Tuesday nights. These Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday classes are at 8 a.m. Tuesday evenings, we're continuing our study of the life of Holy Mother as presented to us by Swami Chaitanananda. On Wednesday, we're continuing the study of Swami Vivekananda's Jnana Yoga. And on Saturdays at noon, we have taken up Swami Prabhavananda's very compelling book on Patanjali's Yoga Sutras called How to Know God. Next Sunday, the 23rd, we will have a celebration of Swami Vivekananda's birth anniversary, a puja by Aditya, and some remarks by me. And then on the 30th, Modern Masters of Advaita Vedanta. And on February the 8th, the celebration of Swami Brahmananda's, Raja Maharaja's birth, with again a puja by Aditya. So with that, shall we call it an afternoon?
Thank you so much.
All right, dears. Talk with you again soon.
Thank
Jai
you.
Ma.